there, it's Mr. Jonathan here with Miss Michelle for another episode of Hot Off the List. And today, our special guest is Tanya Lloyd Kyi. And Tanya Lloyd Kyi is a novelist, dog lover, amateur gardener, and blog writer whose books include This Is Your Brain on Stereotypes, Maya's Strategy to Save the World, and Under Pressure. Today, we're talking about Me and Banksy, her middle grade novel that explores the question of cyber safety through the story of Dominica, a student who decides to take back her power with a street-inspired and totally against the rules endeavor after a video of her changing clothes goes viral on the school forum. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for that blurb. That was a good one. I should call you up next time I need back cover copy.
Absolutely. You just email away. So I'll let Michelle go first with our questions.
So we want to start with congratulations on being named to the Florida Sunshine State Young Readers Award list for 2021-22. You're on the 6th through 8 middle grades list. And so we want to know how did you find out and what did that feel like?
Oh, well, I was thrilled because these sorts of contests where the students are reading all the books are my favorite ones. I think I found out on Twitter, which is often what happens is Twitter scoops the news. And then a couple days later, someone from the publishing house emails and says, great news. And then I don't want to disappoint them. So I always say, oh, thanks for telling me. But actually, I already know. But I'm going to have my own little silent celebration before they tell me.
Yes, congratulations. So I was wondering, are you a Banksy fan?
I am a huge Banksy fan, yes. And I didn't right away know that this book was going to have anything to do with Banksy. I just started to write it about Dominica and the security camera issues. But once I thought, oh, what if Banksy? I was so excited.
I love that. What are some of your favorite pieces of his? Or theirs, I should say, right?
Yeah, it's true. The whole mystery. I love the story of when they were selling art. I think it was in New York Central Park or something, selling art for $10, and nobody knew that they were buying Banksy. It's kind of like that story of the virtuoso violinist on the subway where everybody walked by except the kids. Like, we don't necessarily stop to notice the art going on around us. And I love the one where it's like a businessman and he's wielding this red line, which is like a stock market line, and all the people are running ahead of him, like business is in power, and the ordinary people are having to run away. So I just love that his pieces are fun, but they have real meaning and lots to think about at the same time.
Yeah, I think they're very thought-provoking, but also really graphically interesting.
So when you say that the novel didn't necessarily start with Banksy in the novel, what was the impetus for the novel? How did it get started?
Oh, I probably have it here. I wrote a book a few years before, an information book called Eyes and Spies, that was all about privacy and surveillance. And in it, I did research on cameras in classrooms and how they affect us, how feeling like we're being watched affects how we act and what identity we take on, and how we might be less inclined to argue a point of view we don't think might be popular, just ways that without knowing it, cameras can affect us. And so that was in my head as something I wanted to write about. So I started writing about that and writing about Dominica's problems with the cameras in her classrooms. And then I got stuck. And I was stuck for a few weeks and I had a deadline. So I was like, and then my daughter came home holding a copy of The Poet X, which is a teen novel. And I thought, I just saw the cover and I thought, oh, that book is about graffiti. That would have been such a good idea for my book if Dominica could have responded with street art. I wish I thought of that before that book. And then of course I read that book. It has nothing to do with street art. I was like, oh, I can use it. I can use the graffiti. So that's when Banksy came in, is after I'd been stuck. After I'd been stuck for a few weeks, Banksy came in and solved all my problems.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
I love The Poet X. It's such a great YA book. Elizabeth Acevedo could, when she does her own book, she could read me the phone book. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But that's such a great, light bulb head. That's very cool.
So I find it very interesting that Banksy, that kind of came in and gave your book another element. And you just heard me say, refer to Banksy with the pronoun he. And I'm wondering, Do you think Banksy is a boy or a girl? And why do you assume that, why do you think that so many people assume that Banksy is a man?
I guess all the little glimpses, the little possible glimpses of Banksy are a man. Like there's a movie, and there's the clip in the British Museum, I think. But I read an article. It was the first time somebody told me, oh, there's a big article about maybe Banksy's a woman. And I read it, and it was so convincing. And then the other argument that's quite convincing is that it might be a collective of artists, which would make sense given that Banksy works all over the world and with lots of different issues. But I don't even know if I want to know. I like the mystery of Banksy. It's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of like the author Elena Ferrante. I think not knowing who they are adds some like mystique to both of them.
It's true.
Absolutely. So what do you think the role of the artist is in like today's society, especially as we're talking to kids?
I think ideally to prompt people to think, not necessarily to tell them what to think, but to make them stop and think. And it's one of the things I love about writing books for this age group is that, kids who are 10, 13, 14, they're really willing to read carefully and think about things for themselves. And, they're coming out of the age where their parents and their teachers tell them what to think, and they're really starting to make their own decisions. And so I try in my books not to tell them exactly what to think, but to give them different viewpoints. And I also love hearing from readers when they've come up with their own opinions about things.
Okay, technical difficulty, but now we're back. Miss Michelle,
Awesome.
your question.
I was just commenting on the conversation about teaching kids how to think instead of telling them what to think. And we do have that conversation a lot here in the States when we talk about civics curriculum. American pride is very strong, but we also want to teach our kids how to think about the information that they're given. So I love that you bring that up, that's important as you're writing the book, that you like to do that in your middle grades books. So thank you.
I think we have similar conversations here in Canada. And also my husband was born in Myanmar, so he has family still there, and my kids are half from Myanmar. And there's a military government in power, so you don't always have access to all the information. Your information is more controlled. So I do think it's a big blessing to have access to different sides of issues, which we don't always, we take that for granted sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm wondering, not to switch topics from political to something lighthearted, but what are you reading right now?
Oh, well, to stick with the lighthearted, I just finished a really fun book called Alice Fleck's Recipes for Disaster by Rochelle Delaney. And it is the perfect escape book. It's about a girl whose dad is a culinary historian at a university, and the two of them get signed up for this TV cooking show contest that's happening inside a castle as part of a Victorian reenactment weekend. So there's all these things going on. There's like Victorian fighting with umbrellas, and there's this cooking competition with Victorian foods, and there's a relationship with her and her dad and her dad's new girlfriend. So it's very fun and silly, but also quite sweet and meaningful. So that was my favorite read of the last few weeks.
Do you generally read like mainly adult fiction, or do you read like a blend as well within the medium of what you write?
I read a lot of middle grade and young adult fiction. Especially I've just been hired as a lecturer at the University of BC too in children's literature. So I'm reading up frantically now, so I know what the heck I'm teaching. But I read a few adult novels, but I read a lot of kids.
I think that's us. We find ourselves, well, obviously we're reading a lot of these books, but we kind of go back and forth between, like, I have a long commute, so I listen to, adult fiction novels, and then I read really quickly my middle grades novels. But, my kids are always like, you're reading another book? It's not that hard, but I love it. That's what I do. Well, so to sum it up, I just want to ask this final question. Why do you think the kids of Florida should read your book? and possibly vote on it as their favorite?
I think that there is a lot to think about regarding security cameras and privacy in our lives, especially when we're living so much of our lives online. And so I think that there's lots of fun in this book, from cupcakes to the street art and the different characters. But there's also some big issues to think about, and I think that reading me and Banksy might start them thinking about security and privacy and cameras in some different ways.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some nice thought-provoking stuff in there.
And you can tie in the art piece so much that I think middle grade kids will really be attracted to this title, because I loved the art parts of it.
Absolutely.
There's also my alarm's going off. There's also a series of texts about a two-legged giraffe that I stole directly from the texts of my daughter and her best friend. So if you want to read their text, that's another good reason to read.
That's funny, because I remember that part. I love that.
Entirely stolen.
Well, Tanya, I'm wondering if you have time, we'd like to play a game with you.
I am officially frightened.
Okay, so I read.
And I will, let me put this out there really quickly. Jonathan always plans these games. I have no idea what is happening. And so we've done everything from axolotls to limericks to banned books.
Yes.
Right?
So
okay.
This one may be one of our more goofy ones. It is called Either Way It Stinks. So I read in your bio that you recently adopted a dog, and I read that your favorite food is cheese. So I am going to name something. I'm going to give you a noun, and you will tell me if it is either a dog breed or a type of cheese, because either way, it stinks. So Michelle has never heard these questions either, so you can both guess, and then I will reveal the correct answer, all right? All right, the first one is quichonde. Quichonde. Is it a dog or a type of cheese?
I'm going to say dog.
I concur. It is a dog.
Absolutely correct. Let me see if I can. Oh, there he is. There's the dog. It's a little quichonde. And a quichonde.
Mine is sleeping on the computer over here. Let me see if I can get him in. Oh, there he is.
So cute. I love it.
Not a quichonde, though.
A quichonde is related to Pomeranians, so they look very similar. All right, I'm going to turn off my background so you can actually see my pictures in 1 second here. Let's see. Choose virtual. Oh, it won't let me, but here we go. Number 2 is Shepherd's Hope. Shepherd's Hope. Is it a type of cheese or is it a dog?
I think that's a trick question, so I'm going with dog. No,
okay.
Cheese.
You both say cheese.
Question, I'm going with cheese.
Okay, you both say cheese, and that is the correct answer. It is a cheese. Okay, I'm gonna really try and turn off my background here.
My dog's getting out of here. Did you see that? I had enough of this game.
Here I am. Okay, and here's our cheese, Shepherd's Hope.
Looks delicious.
And yes, it is a mild cheese with notes of citrus, so I would take that any day. All right, number 3, Portuguese Pondego Pequeno. Dog or cheese?
Cheese.
Okay, Tanya says cheese.
I say dog.
The correct answer is a dog.
Oh my gosh, look how cute it is.
This is a petite hunting dog. It hunts in packs. Can you imagine a whole pack of these little guys? All right, number 4, Little Dragon. Little Dragon. Dog or cheese?
These are hard.
Right?
Going cheese.
Okay.
I'm going dog.
Okay. The correct answer is, so Michelle guesses dog, Tanya guesses cheese. The correct answer is cheese. And it is a cheese coated in tarragon leaves.
Ooh, that
I know it looks so soft and delicious. Some of these cheeses are maybe not kid friendly. They look a little funky, but I like funky cheese. So
I believe that every cheese is kid friendly.
I'm going
My
to test
kids
you.
eat fancy cheese. My kids love fancy cheese.
I'm going to describe some to you that I bet even your kids would not eat. So, all right. Here's our next one. This one is a toughie. Timberdoodle. Dog or cheese? Timberdoodle.
Dog.
Okay, Tanya says dog.
Cheese.
Correct answer is a cheese. Oh! And it is actually a cheese named after a bird. The timberdoodle is also a bird.
My goodness. We are learning so much today. These are hard.
We only have two more.
I've never learned so much in an interview.
We only have two more. All right. Spinone Italiano. Dog or cheese? Spinone Italiano.
Cheese.
Cheese.
It's a dog.
Oh, it's such a cute dog.
And they're bred in the Piedmont region of Italy. How cute, right?
He's a dog, but he's so cute. You could eat him up.
I know.
I'm saying.
All right. Last one. Okay. Casu Martsu. Casu Martsu.
Dog.
Okay. Michelle says dog. I'm sorry, ladies. It is a cheese. And this cheese actually has live insect larvae in it. It is outlawed. They make it by cutting the rind, and then they let it spoil, and flies lay their eggs in it, and people pay. It's like a premium cheese that is actually outlawed, so it's a black market food. Ew, right?
In where?
I think Spain. So how disgusting, right? But even the government is like, please don't eat it. It's bad for you. Either way, it stinks. But thank you so much, because you know what doesn't stink is this interview. And we really appreciate you playing our very silly game and giving us your time. And for any kids that have not already read Tanya Lloyd Kyi's middle grade novel, Me and Banksy, it's such a fun read. It's got kind of like a caper element to it. And so if you like stories where it's basically the kids versus the grown-ups, and the kids like know better, which sometimes kids really do know better. And if you want to learn some more about art history, and if you have concerns about surveillance and things like that, and you'd like to read something from that perspective, be sure to pick up Me and Banksy by Tanya Lloyd Kyi. But thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you so much for having me and for teaching me all about cheeses that I never want to eat.
Yes, right. All right. Bye-bye.